Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman, here as always, constantly and forever with Tom. How's it going?
When you say forever, that feels slightly like a threat, but also, I know football season's almost over. So
it puts the lotion on the skin.
We are, the podcast madness has definitely set in. This is our final time inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center during the regular season. Got a chance to talk to Ryan Day, Caleb Downs, Austin Sturveld, and Sonny Styles on Wednesday night after practice. You had a much better seat for Ryan Day. I got to tell you, there are a lot more people here this week than there are a lot of weeks when we're in here. We have a little more elbow room normally, but unsurprisingly, a little more interest around this week's game. So what was the most interesting thing you heard Ryan Day say? Because I didn't hear him say anything.
Well, Ryan Day was asked about winning the rushing battle. He said, we got to do what it takes to win the game. So whatever that is, it is.
That has been one of those constant themes of this week. Yep.
And he also mentioned winning the turnover battle and winning the explosive plays being what they're looking for. Mostly asked about the weather. He said they've been out there practicing all week. It's been rather chilly here at times. And that also they were out there. A lot of the players on this team were at the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
And Sonny Styles said we handled it just fine. And he said it can be a distraction if you let it. Like if you think it's, oh gosh, the weather, like we're all talking about the weather, but the players don't seem to be concerned about it at all.
No, and this is the weather we're talking about this weekend is fans are going to have to bundle up a little more, but this is not, it's going to be negative 10 degrees. It's going to be dangerous outside, and it's not 40-mile-an-hour winds that are really going to make it impossible to throw the ball. It's going to be colder. It's going to be raining or probably snowing, but not a blizzard. This is going to be aesthetic weather where it's like, ooh, I get lots of pretty snow pictures this weekend, rather than, oh man, this is going to completely change the game plan for this weekend.
And people point to the 2021 game where there was some flurries or whatever.
Well, it snowed in that game, but Ohio State threw for 400 yards, so it didn't keep Ohio State from that. That's not why Ohio State lost that game.
Exactly, the defense is why. And people are concerned, well, if there's snow, there can't possibly be a passing game, and that is not true. Mm-hmm. So don't worry about that. Worry more about the Michigan defense as a whole and protecting your quarterback, and those are the bigger concerns than flurries.
Josh Allen has thrown the football just fine the last few years, so I think I don't think that will prevent anyone from throwing the football a little snow.
The question started being asked, Ryan. I'm just doing my job. Wanted to ask if there are any updates, and he's just shaking his hand, kind of smiling, like no updates. But then he said everybody was out there. So
define out there.
Well, out there
like in the great outdoors, or out there like on the practice field as they're running plays.
Generally, when coaches say they're out there, they're meaning they're practicing.
That's usually what they mean, yes. And I think that's broadly in alignment with what we've been hearing and what we're sort of expecting this weekend. That, I think the general trend on the information this week, Ryan Day has not come out and said, yep, everyone's playing, but the general trend on the information and the tone of the conversation this week has been a generally positive trend, I think, on Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Lorenzo Styles Jr.
They are flying up and back, which is a little different than what they've done in the past. And again, Ryan Day said, well, it's about keeping the routine. They fly 2 games and they fly back. And so you're trying to just do everything relatively normal. And I think they've flown before.
I think so. That used to be, there used to be an NCAA rule that it was, I don't know the exact rule, but it was something like if you're playing within a 240-mile radius of your campus or something like that, you have to bus at least one way. So they would always bus up to Michigan and then fly back, because Michigan was the only, I think, Big Ten school within that particular radius of Ohio State. And I think that rule went away, because I did check with an Ohio State spokesman before interviews, because the timetable that we got for Friday was, unless those buses are speeding, I don't think they're going to be on buses. And they are, in fact, flying both directions.
And the one thing Ryan Day said after that is, I know that the past 4 years haven't worked in terms of keeping all of the things routine, doing the same things. And then he did talk about how this week things just add up, whether it's the band, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether, it's just the attention of this game, like things just keep adding up because it is a special week. People want to come in, and it's like at some point you just, you know what, enough is enough kind of thing. And it's like, let's get ready for some football.
Well, this was always the week that Earl Bruce would come in and talk to the team, or Jim Tressel would come in and talk to the team, or, Urban Meyer, whenever Meyer was around, would want to come in and talk to the team. And, when it was Earl's team, Woody would come in and talk to the team. And I think, earlier in the week, Ryan was asked about, paranoia around around this week in particular. And he talked about keeping your circle real tight. And I think you don't want to necessarily have the captains of 17 different Ohio State former Ohio State teams come in and all give a slightly different speech about the important, you kind of just want to keep it routine. It's not like they're downplaying the game.
No.
I think that's an important distinction to draw. They're not trying to treat this like every other game, because there is still a wall on the other side of that cinder block wall behind us that has a countdown clock and an Ohio State helmet, a Michigan helmet, and a wall full of pictures of the Ohio State rivalry. There is no, they don't call Illinois the team up Northwest, or, Rutgers the team out in Bagel Land. This is still the game. This is still the game that everyone knows is the first goal of every season. The first goal of every season is not beat Penn State. It's not beat Maryland. It's beat Michigan. That is the first goal of every season. So they're not downplaying it, but they're trying to just keep it normal and not turn up the pressure cooker any more than it needs to be.
Right, because it's already above where any other game is.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, as long as it's actually just a game within the field, Ohio State has all of the advantages. When you make it a little bit, when you change some of the dynamics there, then the advantage maybe gets a little wonky. So that was Ryan Day. Austin Searveld, we talked to him. So he was asked about the weather because, again, this is such a talking point, and
it's the Midwest. This is what you do. You talk to your neighbors about the weather.
Boy, how about this weather? And Austin Searveld says, I love it. I love the cold. Offensive linemen love the cold, windy snow, whatever you got, he's all for it. Flag, he was asked about the flag planting and the emotion of remembering that. Said you just got to control your emotions. And that's why you don't need anybody to come in and talk to the team.
Right.
These guys were there. They don't need anybody to motivate them, or you got to get ready for Michigan. You got to treat this game like they know exactly how they felt. Nobody else can come in and say, tell them how they felt about this. And I don't know that you want somebody coming in and say, when I beat Michigan, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
That's never, they know exactly how much they want this and how much losing last year hurt them.
Well, and I think you also have to avoid the idea that Michigan is magic in some way, that this Ohio State team has beaten lots of teams over the last 12 months. They're on a 15-game winning streak. They've beaten Texas twice. They've beaten Notre Dame. They've beaten Tennessee. They've beaten Oregon. They've beaten Penn State. Purdue, yes. They beat Grambling, for goodness sakes. How many Big Ten teams can say that this year? Not many. So, you have to avoid making this a bigger thing than it is. It's a big thing. And everyone in this building acknowledges that it's a big thing. But also, I think last year they kind of came away with the fact that they lost that game last year and still won the national championship. You almost wonder whether that helps them a little bit this year, where it's like, okay, life does not end if you lose this game. So you're taking it seriously. You're focusing on it. But this is not going to be the end of the world if you lose this game. So therefore, you don't have to play super tight and everything. Oh boy, you have to be perfect in play your game. Mm-hmm. This is an Ohio State team that is more talented than that Michigan team. This is an Ohio State team that probably has advantages in 5, 6 positional head-to-head battles at least, like noticeable advantages. And so you got to go out and you got to play your game. And if Ohio State goes out and plays its A- game and Michigan goes out and plays its A- game, Ohio State wins by 10 points.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Talking to Sonny Styles, again, he was asked about the weather, and he said, we were fine in that game, referring to the Tennessee game. Asked about Jordan Marshall, said he's physical, low center of gravity, tough runner. Asked about quarterback Bryce Underwood, He said kind of like Nico last year, not as tall as Nico, but can run, has a big arm, and is a physical guy, can take a hit. We know Nico can take a hit, and that's something we've talked about with Bryce Underwood all year long in the Michigan Monday podcast. Probably takes too many hits, but that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, he is a tough physical player, and Caleb Downs talked very, very glowingly about him as well. You can, sometimes there's a way that they will talk about teams where it's like, oh yeah, they're a well-coached team. They're very disciplined. They've got a good offense. They've got a good defense. They got a good, there's words that they say when it's like, yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? This team is garbage. We're going to beat them by 50 points. That's not, Caleb Downs was talking about Bryce Underwood like, yeah, this guy is really like, the words I am saying, I really mean. He's an impressive player, very, very talented player. The part he didn't say is he's also very young and he's kind of mistake prone, and they have the opportunity to maybe take advantage of some of that youth and inexperience. But he's also a very talented player, and he can make things happen both positive and negatively for Michigan.
Talking about Caleb Downs, he has his podcast, Downs to Business, with his brother. He was asked about breaking news and giving the people the information on Jeremiah Smith. His answer was, just giving people what they want. Everybody wants to know how Jeremiah's doing. And there you go. Here, let's ask Jeremiah. And then Doug LeMaurice asked him, hey, how do you get Jeremiah on your podcast? He's like, well, you got to know him for about a year. You got to hang out with him. And then you got to ask him a few times and then remind him and keep after him. That's how you do it, in case anybody was wondering. But he was asked, is this game bigger? Like, do you want to win this game more? And he said, I want to win every game the same. I want to win every play the same as any other play. Why would I want to lose a play or want to win this play more than this one? Wants to win them all equally. And that's a philosophy that can either irk some Ohio State fans because there's like, no. You have to take it. This has to go to 11. Like your desire to make plays against Michigan has to go to 11. I don't care if you live on 10. This needs to go to 11. And Caleb Downs is probably like, my 10 is like most people's 19.
Right.
Just so you know.
Yeah. This is, again, when you take it to 11, when you take it to 12, that's when you're trying to do too much. That's when you, like, I see, I'm playing my guy. I'm in coverage on my guy, and I see a guy over there, and I don't know, is that guy over there covering his guy as well as I could? Maybe I'll go over there, and then you leave your guy, and then boom, your guy scores a touchdown. So you have to do your 1/11th, and you have to. I think that this is a week where the focus is probably up quite a bit. We were in here, and there's always guys sort of doing a few extra reps here and there afterwards. Like the whole defensive line was out with Larry Johnson, and Edric Houston was working one-on-one with Matt Patricia. And then after that, Matt Patricia went over and was working with Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry and Zion Grady for a while. And they were over there for 15 minutes or so. And they just walked by right behind the camera maybe 5 minutes ago. And that was 25, 30 minutes after practice. And don't worry, I'm going to guess when we drive out of here, the player parking lot is still going to be full of cars because there's guys in there still watching film, still getting treatment, all that kind of stuff. This is a week when there are weeks when there will be assistant coaches that will be leaving, and we'll see them leaving before we leave. I suspect there will still be plenty of cars in the parking lot when we walk out.
We can probably just pan the phone over to the dining area, and you'll see players walking around up there.
Yeah.
And Carson, not Carson Hinsman.
Austin
Sierveld mentioned that basically you can't try to do too much in this game, which is what you're talking about with the 1/11th. Anything else that you heard today?
Yeah, Sonny Styles talked about the fact that, he didn't say this exactly, but it's like this is now the season really starts kind of thing where you're 11-0. Congratulations. What have you accomplished? You're 11-0. That's it. Like you don't get anything for being 11-0. He said, now it's hardware season. Now you're playing for hardware. You're playing for gold pants this weekend. If you win this weekend, then you're playing for a Big Ten championship. And then win or lose after that, you're playing the next 3 to 4 games for the national championship. And so every game now, you've got something tangible on the line moving forward. You've won 11 games. Congratulations. You haven't won a darn thing yet.
That is interesting. Every game now has something at the end of it. Gold pants, Big Ten championship, Rose Bowl, everything. You're going to be hoisting something or planting something or something. Who's to say?
Yeah, this is the last game that they will play this year where there's no chance of confetti falling on them. I mean, they could if they play a first round playoff game, then there wouldn't be. But it's entirely possible this is the last game where there's no chance of confetti falling. There may be other stuff raining down on them as they leave the field on Saturday, but it won't be confetti.
And it only took us like 3 months to get here. The longest preseason in sports. No, but that will do it from the Woody. I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. If you're listening, 5-star rating and review. As always, find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Say hello to us there. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you later.
And for you, those of you watching on YouTube, we'll give you a little look around the Woody, because what the heck, why not?